What is up to all my Baggins Dragons out there? Welcome to another podcast of Diary of a Silver Pourer. And this is my February 2019 episode. And if you're new to my podcast series, this is where I talk about silver pouring, what I've done so far, what I hope to be doing in the future. It's a good thing for me to look back on and see what I was doing in the past when I was pouring silver, just sort of the journey that I've gone down. And if you like listening to these, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. This is different than the other content that I put out on YouTube. All my other videos are actually videos where you can see me, mostly my hands, and different, silver that I poured, or we talk about silver pieces, silver in general, silver stacking, all that fun stuff. But anyway, this is just my podcast, and I do these every month. I did one in January, and then last year I was doing them more frequently, but I decided that one a month is a better way to go. So that's what I'm doing moving forward, and I'm still sticking to that. But anyway, let's talk about some silver pouring. I've already done so many new things in February. I'm having so much fun with it, and I actually do have some new things coming up in the future. So let's first talk about the kilo. I gotta talk about the kilo. I mean, oh my goodness, what a milestone. So I did join the Kilo Club. I poured an entire kilo of silver, and that was absolutely insane. I had a lot of fun with that. I was so nervous to pour it for a couple reasons. So if you didn't see the video on it where I poured the 1 kilo, it was crazy, and I wasn't sure if I should show the whole thing or sort of edit it down and not show you the whole process, but I decided, you know what, let's show the entire process of how it was poured and sort of the way it went, and it was very unexpected the way it turned out. It actually ended up being a full kilo, but yeah, so first off, like I said, if you already seen the video, then you kind of know what happened. But if you didn't see the video, it was crazy. So I want to talk about the pour and that whole thing because, oh my goodness, it was so crazy. So the pour, I was so nervous. I really was. The way the shape of the kilo bar is, there's no way I could get it back in my crucible to remelt. So if it was light, I would have been under, and there's nothing I could have done to add more silver to it, really, with my setup. My torch doesn't get crazy hot, and so I don't even know if I'd be able to remelt the silver down. I might have to get a whole new torch setup, but, and it's actually starting to rain. Nice. You guys might hear a little bit of rain during this one, which I'm surprised more of my podcasts don't have rain in it because it rains so often here in Oregon. But anyway, so I did the pour, and the mold just barely fits the whole kilo, and it was starting to bubble over the top of the mold. And I was sort of worried that it was going to overflow it, and so I backed off, gave it some really massive ripples, which when you're pouring that big, you can get crazy ripples. I mean, we're talking like literally you could get waves on those just because it takes the silver so long to actually harden. When you have a kilo or even the 20 ounces that I did, maybe a 10 ouncer, you could get some massive ones too. But yeah, when you're pouring smaller pieces, it will harden really fast because it's not a lot of silver and it's exposed to the air and everything, so it cools down quicker. But when you have something like a whole kilo, it takes forever. I think it took like 15 seconds for it to cool down to where it was actually starting to get hard. And so I sort of let that happen. And then before it hardened all the way, if you watch the video, there's still a glowing red spot right in the middle where I poured the rest of the silver on top of, which made this little platform. And it was such a unique piece. And I did have, I think probably maybe at least 10 people in the comments of that video say, oh, you should remelt it. And there's no way. It's such a unique, interesting, beautiful piece of art. It was unexpected the way that it turned out. But the way that I finally stamped it and everything, my dragon stamp was on that platform in the middle that I poured. And it ended up being connected to the bar, all one solid piece. So it's one solid kilo pour of silver. But wow, it just turned out so cool. And I ended up calling that the Baggins brick, which is actually at the suggestion of the guy I was pouring it for, Mike. Really cool guy, great member of the community. And I know he said he loves the bar, and I love it too. I was really sad to see it go, but I want to pour some more kilos in the future, definitely. I had a lot of fun with that one. I think if I pour another one, I'm just going to keep pouring, and then if it does overflow, it overflows. And what are you going to do? So, but anyway, that was really fun. And then if you watch the video, you remember I didn't think it was a kilo because my scale was off, and I was freaking out, panicking, and I tried to pour something else on top of it, which totally didn't work out, of course, because the silver was too cold, and I didn't know that, but I have learned that now. So if there's anyone out there that's getting into silver pouring and you're curious, if you have a poured piece of silver that is cold and you pour more silver on top of it, it will not stick. It'll just pop right off. And it was hilarious in the video where I realized that it just pops right off and it's not connected at all. But, you know, it might not be intuitive to many people. It wasn't to me that would happen, because you're pouring molten lava silver onto another metal. You would think it would stick to it. But no, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. So that was a cool learning point for me. And then I was kind of sad. I thought, I'm not going to join the Kilo Club. It didn't work. It didn't work out at all how I planned it. And then I found out, of course, that my scale was off, and I showed the whole thing in the video where I recreated the error on the scale. And I still don't like that scale design, that it's able to sort of do that. But anyway, so I joined the Kilo Club, and that was really, really cool. I was so happy that it worked out. And then I made another video where I got it all polished and stamped off and sent out. And Mike has it. In fact, he showed me a picture right before my live stream, my silver pour party live stream, which we're going to talk about that in a second. He showed me a picture of him waiting to watch it, and he had the Baggins brick, the kilo pour, right there next to his computer. So that was really, really cool. But anyway, let's talk about the pour party, which was crazy and super fun. And then we'll talk about what we have coming up as far as pours in the future and different stuff like that. But let's talk about the pour party. So my first live stream back since I was banished from live streaming. I was on a community strike from YouTube, and I'm now off it. I have been freed. But it was a pour party, and I poured a bunch of these hexagon dragon faces, which is really cool. And I never said what I'm going to call them, but I think I'm going to call those the Freed Dragons. So a Freed Dragon pour is the face. And I'm going to write that on the COAs and everything. But, you know, I am Freed Baggins, and those pieces are the Freed Dragons pieces. So those are really cool, and that was fun. We poured... I ended up with 17 of those pours, and it's the first pours that I've done that it's like got more detail than just, I do the hearts, which it's a different shape, but there's not really detail in the pour, right? And I obviously do bars, and I did a hexagon pour for Dean over at Tomoka's Enterprise, and I think those are the only other pours I've done. So I did the dragon faces. I had no idea what to expect, pouring those shallow little molds like that. First off, I thought I was going to have it heated up more, that the detail wouldn't really show up, but it does show up in all the pours, which is really cool. So I guess there's not an incredible amount of detail in that one to where you need to have the mold like really flaming super hot to fill in all the cracks and crevices, because I have heard other pours say that if it's a mold with a lot of detail, you have to get it super, super hot to pour it right. But these dragons all turned out great. And I'm just doing 2-digit serial numbers on the dragons. We have up to 17, so 01, 02, all the way up to 17 that I poured so far. And if I ever make it to 99, it is possible that the mold will crack or fail or wear down too much before that. I have no idea how long it'll last. I mean, these molds aren't really supposed to last super long because they do have lots of detail. So if it cracks or breaks or whatever, then that'll be the end of that mold, and I'll just be done pouring those. If it does make it for some reason all the way up to 99, then I will smash it with a hammer. That'll be the end of that, and I'll never pour that one again. So it is a limited edition on those pours for sure. And I'm having fun with them. I really like the way that they pour. I mean, at first it was kind of, I had to sort of figure out the mold. But after doing about 10 of them, I kind of got the hang of it, and I was able to pour them pretty much every time at that point. And I will say they ended up being a lot heavier than I initially thought. When I first got the mold, I sort of thought it'd be like a 1 ounce or maybe a 2 ounce, but they're all way over that. The lightest one was 2.5 ounces, and you can get pretty heavy on those. The heaviest one was 3.5, and so a very wide range of sizes, but almost all of them turned out to be right around 2.8 to 3 ounces. So that's kind of the sweet spot, I think, on that mold. It's really about a 3 ounce silver mold. Maybe a little lighter, the 2.8 to 3. That's kind of the vast majority of all the pours ended up being that weight. So I think in the future, I'm sort of going to expect them to be right around 3 or a little bit below ounces of silver for pouring those. I still need to antique them all. And I started stamping them, and it takes forever to stamp them because it's not flat. It's a lot different than stamping the other pieces I've done in the past. So it is harder. And I am stamping freed Baggins on the back of all those. First 17 for sure will get that. And my hand was cramping up. I only got 8 of them done, and then I had to go to work. So I'll have to finish up stamping the rest of them in the future. And maybe by the time this video or podcast comes out, they'll all be done. I'm not sure. And then I need to antique them. I said I would antique them, and I can't wait to antique those dragons. I think they're going to look so cool. I did have 2 people ask me not to antique theirs, which is fine. I'll just have those ones be polished. But the rest of them are all getting antiqued. I can't wait to see what they look like when they're all done. So anyway, that was the pour party. That's the pours that I've done so far this month that were new and fun and exciting, and good milestones for my silver pouring. I definitely want to get some more molds with detail in them because I think those are fun. They're just really fun to pour and different. But I also like the Baggins bars. I'm going to keep going with that series. That's really fun as well. So I got more Baggins bars coming in the future, and I did get a 10 ounce mold. Yes. Oh, I finally got one. So before that, I just had a 5 ounce, 20 ounce, the kilo, the 2 ounce, and then the smaller rectangle shape of about a 2 or 3 ounce as well. But now I've got a 10 ounce mold, and I do have already one person lined up to pour my first 10 ounce bar, which will be really fun. And I have a couple other people that were requesting 10 ounce bars as well. So I'll have to get those poured. And I do have a lot of other people that were requesting different pours. So I got a lot of pouring I need to do here in the future. It's sort of hard to find time. I can pour for sure at least once every week. I would like to be able to pour more often than that. But just the way the flow of everything works for me and my schedule, I can only guarantee about 1 day every week that I can do pouring. So if you do have stuff ordered from me, it'll hopefully be coming out here shortly. But anyway, that was my podcast for February. I hope you had a great time listening to it. I had fun making it, and it'll be good memories for me to look back on too in the future. So anyway, thanks so much for listening. I got a lot more great videos coming out here this month, so stay tuned, and I'll see you all in the next one. Silver Baggins out.